Hi and welcome to the tutorial for Fleets, the Pleiad Conflict. Here I sit with Jonathan and we're going to show you how to play this game. Start by finding the biggest table you have in the house, because this is a game that will take some space.
Start by shuffling all the systems. The game contains 10 unique system tiles. For an X-player game, use X+1 system tiles. In this tutorial, we are 2 players, so we use 3 tiles. Each player receives a player board. Apart from the graphics, there are no differences between the player boards. Each player starts with 6 diplomatic points and 26 mega credits, which is the currency in this game. We want to point out that we are playing with a prototype. Some components and some graphics will change slightly for the printed version. Take forth the 20 unique fleet boards and shuffle them. Place 3 of them face up to form a market. Do the same with the upgrade cards. Place the dice, markers and escort ships easily accessible for all players. Place the reference sheet on the table. It contains all necessary information for the escort ships. Each fleet has a corresponding fleet marker. Place the appropriate ones on the fleets in the market and put the others in a pile beside the fleet boards. For a 2-player game, take 2 player order tiles, shuffle them and hand out 1 to each player. Put the rest of the tiles back into the box. Shuffle the action cards and place the deck near the markets. We are now ready to play. In fleets, each round consists of 6 phases. These are the player order phase. This is where the player order is determined. Well, we've done that already. In the build phase, players buy and customize their fleets. You want to build the Death Star? Well, if it wasn't for copyright, you could. In the deployment phase, every single fleet must be deployed to a system. You'd better avoid the larger fleets. Then comes the diplomacy phase, where diplomatic effects and action cards are used to manipulate the game board. All evil plots are allowed. When diplomacy ends, battles start. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And last, rewards phase, where victory points and other rewards are given to the players. After each rewards phase, if a player has reached the victory point limit, he wins the game. For a shorter game, we recommend 5 as a goal limit, but the standard is 7. Now, enough talk, let's play. So, the first round has started, and by random chance, Jonathan was determined to go first. There are both pros and cons to being first, as you will see. Second phase is build phase, where we take turns buying fleets and upgrade cards. Jonathan fancies Ezreal and buys it for 12 mega credits. A new fleet is revealed on the market, Excalibur. Enoch buys that one for 7 mega credits. When it is Jonathan's turn again, he buys an upgrade card from the market. Not all fleets have slots for upgrades, but Ezreal does. This upgrade is named Hangar Bay, and it lets Ezreal pay energy to add escort ships to the fleet during battle. Enoch spends his turn buying another fleet, this time Copernicus, a diplomatic fleet. Just as his other fleet, this one costs 7 mega credits. At this point, Jonathan has one large mothership with an upgrade, while Enoch has 2 smaller fleets, but we have both spent approximately the same amount of money. We shall see how this turns out. Anyway, Jonathan is pleased with his bargains and passes. Enoch buys an upgrade for Excalibur. Jonathan passes again. Enoch buys an upgrade for Copernicus too, and feels quite smug. Jonathan passes and Enoch passes. That means that the player interaction of the build phase is over. and all players may simultaneously buy escort ships to their fleets. There are 8 different escort ships, all with their own stats and abilities. Use the reference sheet to learn more about them. Let's see what Enoch makes of his Excalibur fleet. He starts by purchasing a shield ship. All ships in fleets face right. That means that the shield ship must be placed upright, occupying 2 slots on top of each other. Enoch pays 3 mega credits for the ship and continues. He buys 2 defensive interceptors, 2 fighters and a generator ship. His fleet is now full. Even though he would like to add a battleship, there are no more empty slots. Jonathan's fleet Ezreal is large, but it is very limited. It can almost only fit the smallest ships. He buys 4 fighters and 1 interceptor. As you can see, the escort ship tiles are double-sided, which makes the ships easier to find, since each ship size has 2 variants. Jonathan buys a generator ship, then he's done. Once again you see that the horizontal ship cannot be placed in 2 vertical slots. This means that Ezreal will never be able to have mechanic ships or cruisers. At the bottom of each fleet there is an energy parameter. All fleets begin with 4 energy. The reactor value indicates how much energy the fleet gains each turn. The build phase is over and we move on to the deployment phase. Since Jonathan has the first player order tile, he starts by deploying one of his fleets to a system of his choice. Each player has his own designated corner of the system tiles. This means that a player can never have more than 1 fleet at the same system, and no player may own more fleets than there are systems in the game. Jonathan chooses to deploy Ezreal to Tartarus. Enoch deploys his unarmed diplomatic fleet to Corpus. No surprise there. Since Jonathan has no more fleets, he passes, and Enoch gets to deploy his second fleet, Excalibur. Will he face Ezreal in battle or be on the safe side? He deploys to Tartarus too. He enjoys a good fight. Once all fleets are deployed, the phase is over and we move on to the diplomacy phase. In the diplomacy phase, players take turns doing 1 action each until everyone passes in a row, similarly to what we did in the build phase. An action is one of the following. Pay 2 diplomatic points to retreat a fleet from the game board. Pay 6 diplomatic points to force an opposing fleet to retreat from the game board. Pay 2 diplomatic points to tax a system. Play a diplomatic card. Jonathan passes his first turn. Enoch takes a look at the game board and chooses to tax Tartarus. This means that he pays 2 diplomatic points to get the rewards of that system. In this case, he receives 1 action card and 2 mega credits. Jonathan passes again, so Enoch uses the special diplomatic effects on Corpus. He pays 1 diplomatic point to draw 1 action card. As you can see, he now has 2 diplomatic action cards, which he may choose to use. However, he is not interested for the moment, so after another pass from Jonathan, he passes too, and the diplomacy phase is over. It is time for the battle phase, where a combat will occur if more than 1 fleet occupy the same system. In this case, both Excalibur and Ezreal occupy Tartarus. Interesting. A battle runs through 4 initiative stages, 1 through 4. Every ship has an initiative value that determines in which stage it shoots. A low value means it is fast and fires early. Each ship fires only once each battle. Since Jonathan is the first player, he looks through his fleet for any ships with an initiative value 1, but he has none. If he had battle action cards, he could have used them now too. But he has no cards, so he passes. Enoch, on the other hand, has 2 fast fighters ready for battle. The first one targets the interceptor. Since the fighter has attack 1, Enoch rolls 1 die. For each 4, 5, or 6 in an attack roll, the defender is dealt 1 damage. He rolls a 3, that is no hit. He continues with his next ship and targets the interceptor again. This time, he rolls a 5, resulting in 1 damage. He also uses the built-in effect of the fighter, which says use 1 energy to deal +1 damage. A ship may only use its effect once per battle. The result is 2 damage, which is enough to destroy the interceptor. Enoch is now done with his first turn, and Jonathan gets a new turn, this time with initiative value 2. He has 1 fighter, and it targets the Excalibur mothership. If the mothership is destroyed, the battle is won. Jonathan rolls a 4, which means 1 hit. He pays 1 energy to add another hit and deals 2 damage to Excalibur. Enoch reacts with the shield ship ability. He pays 1 energy to prevent 2 damage to any ship. Even though he saved his hull, this time, the effect cannot be used again this battle. Jonathan passes over to Enoch. Enoch has 4 ships on initiative 2. The 2 interceptors have no attack value, so they don't attack. But the shield ship does. 2 dice gives 1 damage. Kaboom! Then the mothership attacks. It has 4 dice in attack. It attacks Ezreal and deals 1 damage. Jonathan starts his third initiative phase by using Ezreal's special ability. Once per battle, it may use 2 energy to add 2 fighters to the fleet. How convenient! 4 fighters engage in battle. When the mothership is about to attack with its 9 dice, Enoch uses his interceptor ability. It may sacrifice itself and pay 2 energy to block a complete attack. Well played there. But Jonathan doesn't fold. He uses his hangar bay to add another fighter to his fleet for 1 energy. Another shot with another hit, and Excalibur now has 4 damage. 1 more and it is down. Jonathan passes, but Enoch has no initiative 3 ships, so he passes too. In the last initiative round, Jonathan only has a generator ship with 2 dice in attack. Could it bring down Excalibur? First, when it attacks, its special ability generates 2 energy to the fleet. Then on with the attack. And it is a hit! Excalibur is down, 5 damage, and it only has 5 health. Undamaged escort ships are returned to the player board. They can be assigned to a new fleet later. Any damaged ships are discarded. The upgrade card and the fleet board, however, are placed in the bottom of their respective piles. Victory! The fleet marker is removed from Tartarus. In fact, Tartarus has an effect that says 1 victory point is awarded to a player who eliminates a fleet there. So 1 victory point to Jonathan. The last phase is the rewards phase. First off, each fleet that is alone at a system gains 1 victory point for its owner. Since both Ezreal and Copernicus are alone at their systems, both Enoch and Jonathan gains 1 victory point. After that, each fleet also receives the rewards for that system. Ezreal receives 1 action card and 2 mega credits. Copernicus receives 2 diplomatic points. The fleet markers are then removed from the game board, and each fleet receives new energy based on their reactor values. Copernicus also has an upgrade that generates 2 mega credits. Last but not least, each player gains 2 diplomatic points, 6 mega credits, and 1 action card. The first round is now finished, and a new one can start. Usually, the new player order will be randomized every round, but when you play two-player games, just switch the tiles. A new build phase starts. Enoch passes, Jonathan buys a new fleet. Enoch passes, Jonathan passes. Enoch doesn't want to buy score chips either, but Jonathan buys a couple. Then comes the deployment phase, where all fleets are deployed to the board. Then on to diplomacy phase. Enoch pays 6 diplomatic points to force Ezreal to retreat from the game board. Jonathan pays 2 diplomatic points to tax Altax 3. Enoch passes, and so does Jonathan. Since there are no two fleets at the same system, there are no battles, so we jump straight to the rewards phase and collect our rewards. 1 victory point each, system rewards, trade goods, reactor values, diplomatic points, mega credits, and a card. So the game continues until a player reaches the victory point limit. We hope this has given you a lot of insight in the game and an eagerness to try it out yourself. Before we stop though, we just want to give you an overview of the cards in the game. There are only two types, diplomatic cards and battle cards. They can only be played in their respective phase. And here are a few examples. This is a diplomatic card called Veto. Spend 1 diplomatic point to play it. Choose a system. All its effects and abilities are cancelled for the rest of the round. The electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, costs 4 energy to play, but reduces the energy of an opposing fleet by 6. Its effect can be devastating if used with proper timing. The shield card costs 1 energy to play and prevents 2 damage to any ship. No More Talk will prevent all movements from a system for the rest of the round. That includes retreating and forcing opponents to retreat.
Thank you for watching this tutorial. We hope that you too will enjoy playing this game.